Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say, at this point. I'm going to get on into this because I'm actually on my lunch break and I don't want to beleaguer the point too much. But, man, after today, I speculate, and I have good evidence to make speculations in which I believe that my particular social media account known as Facebook is somewhat disproportionately ostracized for content. But that could be my imagination still. But I know that today I attempted to go live as I usually do on the same phone that I go live on. And I did it twice. I know I did it 3 times actually, and in all those three times you could see my face, but you could not hear what I was saying. Now, what I was talking about in particular was the current endemic, well, not endemic, contagion known as monkeypox. Hey, I'm listening to an artist, and I don't know whether y'all. It was such a surprise to me that this artist, he recently came out and professed that he was a gay male. Now, I say this and to lead into what I did earlier when I said earlier. That at first, at the beginning, they were saying that this that the monkeypox was pretty much confined as far as outside of the areas where it's pretty much endemic, like they say South Africa, whatever, Africa. That this disease was occurring amongst those who practice, who were homosexuals. I think I just read an article where it said like 95% of the cases originally were homosexual people, but now I also hear the children. Basically, I'll make this point that although it's not a sexually transmitted disease, but it's transmitted via sexual contact, meaning, much like the COVID, if you're in close proximity with a person, I guess this would have to include, for the particular disease I'm speaking of, it would have to include physical touch, as in making out, maybe rubbing against somebody, touching on folks and things like that. But the point I was trying to make is that I was listening to the news last night, and I heard that they said that now they're saying that cases of monkeypox is being disproportionately affecting those who are defined as people of color. And in another article I read, it said minorities. Now, usually when they talk about things like legislation or certain problems or social problems and issues, they utilize these terms like the term minority or person of color, and it's usually, I guess, could be presumed as an all-inclusive term to those people who have a significant portion of melanin within their skin. Now, the interesting thing about this story is that they led off with people of color, but then they automatically transitioned into black. Just like in most cases, like let's say, a particular piece of legislation is trying to be passed, and they said they're going to pass it for minorities. Now, it'll be campaigned by, they'll have a minority politician or they'll have a black politician parading all the benefits and the good news about this legislation being passed. And when it comes time that the legislation the law is passed and it's being passed in the name of a minority group or people of color, it generally disproportionately benefits those who don't identify as black. But when it comes to situations and circumstances where there may be a negative connotation of, there might be ostracization occurring, then that term minority or person of color is oftentimes significantly and specifically targeted toward those people who identify as black. they were talking of I had some statistics from this article that I had. I think I'm running out of time in order to pull it up and actually go through it, but it is basically saying that that blacks 13%, Hispanics 18%, whites 50%, and they were giving numbers like I think they said that the Caucasian folks had a 39% rate of monkeypox, while for their group. While the Hispanics, I forget it specifically, but I think it was in the 30%. And then for the black folks, it was the 29%. Now, being careful, you have to be careful with these words. Much like when the COVID first started in Chicago, like when I was living in Chicago. So they were talking about how it was disproportionately affecting black communities, and of course they tagged in Hispanic. They lead with black, but as a matter of fact, they'll mention Hispanic also. But they were saying that it was disproportionately affecting black people, and then from my observation, I was saying, well, these particular areas they were saying in the city that were being affected by COVID were concentrations of black people that lived in close proximity of each other. Or Hispanics who live in close proximity to each other, so that would make perfect sense. Media, there's oftentimes recently there's been a frequent presentation of actors who practice alternative lifestyles or identify as a specific gender group. And when they have actors portraying characters that are homosexual, and more specifically, from my observation, homosexual males, they are portrayed by black people, and most of the time these black males are overtly flamboyant. So it was interesting when these cases of monkeypox came out and they were tied it into homosexuality, that most of the pictures and images I was seeing were those that were images of black people with those boils and lesions and things of that nature. Now, I myself, I'm pretty much an isolated person. I can say that I am abstinent at this point with certainty, because it's been a while for you guys, TMI. But as far as me working now, the difference between me working in the place that I work, we are close around each other, but I don't necessarily have to touch these people. So from my perspective, I have concern, but I'm not necessarily worried about catching the monkeypox. But yeah, I just really wanted to come in and point out the fact that, hey, there's a condition that's going on that's named, that's identified as monkeypox, and now the narrative that's being passed throughout media is that particular disease, known as monkeypox, is disproportionately affecting people of colors, i.e. minorities. Even though 50% of the population, I guess they were saying, has 39% of the cases. There is a bit of a mathing wizardry being done. So, I was a little bit more elaborate in my earlier video that's muted, but I guess I'll go into detail at a later time. But right now my lunch break is over and I must return to Candyland, where I take my stand and I make my bends. Oh yeah.